How's it going, everyone? ehhhhhh, the Mister here, and today we have another Persona 5 boss impression video. And as you can see, I'm gonna be personally in the video as well. I'm really excited to start using this green screen technique. It's my first time using it, or it should be, you know, like one of my early stages in using it. But let's see how it goes in this particular video, so that you don't always just see a disembodied voice every time you hear me talking about these videos. But as you guys know, with these videos, I tend to give you my impressions on the design and what I think about the difficulty of the boss fight itself, coupled with a little bit of story bits here and there. Speaking of story bits, that's how I tend to start out the video. I'm not gonna lie, this particular boss, coupled with the story that led up to it, this was the most heart-wrenching, brutal, sad story up until this point in Persona 5. To give you guys a quick rundown, basically this hacker girl named Futaba, who also eventually joins your team, she personally requests you to enter her own palace and change your heart. And oh man, does it get so much more brutal after that. The tears were flowing when you hear this poor girl's story. Futaba's mother at this point in the game is dead, or at least, you know, from what I could tell so far. I don't know if there are any spoilers later on. We might get a plot twist, but at this point in the game, she is dead. And Futaba believes that her mother basically committed suicide because she would believe Futaba was too much of a hindrance. You know, Futaba was always wanting her mother to hang out with her. Her mother was always, you know, preoccupied with work and her research. And Futaba just wanted her mother to be there with her. And because she felt like she was pestering her mother and being a hindrance towards her, she believes that her mother personally you know, ended her life because she couldn't handle Futaba anymore. If that by itself was not bad enough, you also have these big adult men in black suits that even had like a forged suicide note. It wasn't real, but it was a forged suicide note that they read to Futaba, basically saying this is the reason why your mother supposedly killed herself, and it was because of you. And it was just so sad to see just this whole story go down. But basically, Futaba was never able to get over that. She truly believes that she herself is the cause of her mother's death. And then it's your job as the Phantom Thieves to enter her palace and change her heart, change this distorted mentality that she has, that she was the one that personally you know, offed her mother. And that's what you basically see right now. The boss, the Sphinx flying in the air, has the head shape of her mother. But yeah, the story surrounding Futaba's mother and Futaba herself, and also Sojiro, the guy who runs the coffee shop and who is your technical legal guardian, as you know, for that point in the game. It's just so sad to see all this come together, how all the pieces line up. But that's the story for the boss. Going into the design itself, you guys know me. I keep saying in every video, Kamoshida is the design that I hold on a pedestal. Every boss after that has to compete with Kamoshida. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the boss just at face value is nothing too impressive because it's just basically a Sphinx. I understand the theme of the palace is like, you know, Egyptian and pharaohs and tombs and pyramids and all that. And of course, so the boss needs to represent something like that. And that's what Futaba's mother basically represents as her cognition in her distorted palace, which is that of a Sphinx with the head of the mother. Again, it's not competing with Kamoshida again. I really think that the Kaneshiro boss fight was maybe a little bit better in terms of, you know, design. So once again, broken record, ehhhhhh, the Mister, the design of this boss just really seems lazy, so to speak. Now, that's not speaking of the difficulty. We'll get to that in a minute, trust me. But in terms of design, Kamoshida still sits on top of the palace bosses of Persona. He is still the #1, with Kaneshiro kind of competing with him a little bit, because again, if you watch my Kaneshiro video, my main thing with Kaneshiro was that I wanted him to have just one extra theme going on with him. But the boss in Futaba's palace, I want to say it's kind of on the same level of maybe Madarame's palace, because Again, it's just a Sphinx. It's just a Sphinx with Futaba's mom's head on it. And yeah, like, okay, I get it. We're in Egypt. We need Egyptian themes to go back and forth on. But what really conflicts me and maybe deciding whether or not it's better than Madarame's or maybe close to the level of Kanashiro is the story. The story in this palace is by far the most depressing and the most sad up until this point. So coupling that with how the boss is designed, you could say, you know, maybe something had to give because the story is amazing. Like, I shed a few tears just, you know, playing through the boss fight, remembering all the terrible hardships that was going through for Futaba. And as you can see in the gameplay right now, they did something a little bit different where Futaba, when she joins your team, she awakens her persona in the middle of the boss fight. So that is really cool. And I really feel like it fit her theme really well because, again, she's a hacker. So she's not going to be the type of person to be on the battlefield doing attacks and whatnot. Maybe a little later in the game, I don't know. But at this point right now, it was just so awesome to see. Basically, she's your backup. She helps you in the background doing all these different status buffs and maybe clearing up status ailments for you and implementing different strategies. What you're about to see right now is Futaba setting up basically a ballista to shoot down the boss that we're fighting right now. Because in case you guys didn't notice, as I was talking over the boss fight in the beginning, this boss was extremely difficult. I want to say even harder than the Madarame boss fight. So in terms of palaces, up until this point, this was by far the most difficult boss fight I could imagine because basically Wakaba, which is, you know, Futaba's mother, she does the most damage out of all the bosses, at least in my opinion. One swipe of her wings or her claw, whatever you want to call it, does insane amounts of damage to the entire team or hell, just even one person. You better hope she doesn't focus on one person too. But then when she flies into the air, you better start your guard up because if you don't and she comes slamming down, I didn't even test it. I know for a fact my entire party was going to get destroyed. And bless that I had at least 2 healers on the team. Actually, scratch that. I had 3 healers. I had Morgana, I had Anne, and I also had Makoto. So I can only imagine what would have happened if I had Ryuji or Yusuke in there because at this point in the game, I can't switch out party members. I know there's a confidant later on that lets you do that in the middle of a fight, but this fight, I would have had to restart the entire thing because each class member could heal, and I needed that desperately because as you can see, I am struggling really hard with this. But once you get the ballista and basically blast Wakaba out of the sky, at that point, you can start doing insane amounts of damage. At first, as you can see, I start using persona techniques because I don't really know how much damage I'm supposed to be doing. But then later on, I switched to physical attacks. But that's the one that does insane amounts of damage. So as an overall boss fight, I gotta say this was so far the best one in terms of difficulty and strategy on how to take down the boss herself. Because first off, you have to basically be on the defensive the majority of the fight. The instant you let that guard up at any point where she's preparing to do a strong attack, that party member that doesn't block is dead. Guaranteed, unless you were grinding up until this point, which I personally wasn't. And around the halfway point, Futaba awakens her persona. She has to activate the ballista. You have to send a team member to turn the ballista and shoot down Wakaba. And then from there, you start doing a bunch of damage. But again, very difficult boss fight. You have to keep your party members on their feet the entire time. You better hope that she doesn't cast despair on any of your teammates, especially your main character, because I'm so glad I believe it was Makoto that had the ability to heal despair, because I didn't have any items for that. So once again, go into this fight extremely well prepared. But aside from that, I really enjoyed this boss fight. Again, going back to the design, it's really not that impressive for me. It was just a Sphinx with the mom's head on it. It's really simplistic, once again, comparing it to the Kamoshida boss fight. But I think the story that accompanies this boss, I think it gives it an edge to maybe compete with Kanashiro or maybe Kamoshida. Again, opinions. That's what they're for. So again, design, but story, all the way. Definitely the most depressing. Definitely the best up until this point in Persona 5. And then in terms of difficulty, oh man, easily the hardest fight so far in the game. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of the boss fight? Did you like the design? Maybe I'm being too harsh on it. Did you like the difficulty? Did you cry like a river of tears from just witnessing and hearing the story of Futaba? Because so far in the game, she had it the worst out of the entire team, at least in my opinion, because that's just tragic. That is simply tragic, because no one, absolutely no one, deserves to go through the hardships that this character went through in Persona 5. But once again, share your thoughts down below. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you want me to keep doing this green screen thing where I appear in the video so you guys can see my face and I can talk to you, you know, establish a better connection so you just don't see a disembodied voice while you're watching gameplay, because, you know, expect more of this to happen in the future. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, folks, don't forget to stay beautiful. I'm ehhhhhh the Mister, and as always, thanks for watching.
Damn, you're freaking incredible!